You know, I've been cold plunging for a while and I own over a dozen cold plunges, and I've gotten pretty comfortable with being in the cold, but this beast here has pushed me to my absolute limit. I mean, this is so different to anything I've experienced before, and I'm talking about the ReGen Total Wellness Blast, that's what it's called, and it's a beast, and I'm so thrilled to tell you everything you want to know about why this particular cold plunge is different to anything I've tried before. And maybe let's start with, the setup and delivery, because that's how it all starts. And the good news is with this particular model, you get delivery or shipping for free. That's the standard delivery, but that means the LTE or LTL carrier, meaning the less than truckload, meaning they come in a truck on a pallet, they deliver it just at the curb, and then it's up to you to bring the pallet down or the cold plunge down to wherever you want to have it. And while that might not sound like a big deal, it kind of is, because this beast weighs 600 pounds, and so you need some muscle and ideally a cart where you can put it on to move it to wherever you want to get it. I opted for the white glove delivery, and that means it was not my responsibility, but the two delivery guys who came in the truck to move the unit right here. The other advantage of that white glove delivery is that they take all of the packaging and the pallet and everything back, so you don't have to fill your trash cans with all of the debris, the cardboard, etc. So that was kind of neat. But even so, it rained leading up to the delivery, and so our grass was all soaked and wet, and they couldn't use the pallet jack to bring it back, so I'd actually have to borrow them my cart, the heavy-duty cart, to load the pallet on or the plunge on and bring it back here, and then finally set it here. From that point on, it was fairly straightforward. I just opened the lid, I removed all of the extras that came with the unit, including a skimmer and an extra filter and the instruction manual. I removed all of that and started filling the tub with water from our non-toxic garden hose with a whole house filtration system, so it was chlorine-free water to get go. If you don't have that, I recommend one of those RV filters or charcoal filters to filter the water before you fill up the tub, because you don't want to have any of the chlorine and stuff in your water, not in your shower water and not in your cold plunge water. So that took, I don't know, maybe half an hour or so to fill up the tub, and then I just turned it on. I plugged it into a standard 120 volts, 15 amps, outdoor ready outlet, meaning GFCI with a GFCI, a ground fault circuit interrupter. Plugged it in. You don't need any special electricity or any special plumbing or whatever. Plugged it in and let it run. I just let it run overnight, and then the next morning it was ready for my first plunge. Let's talk about chiller performance, because that's one of the things that sets the Blast apart from many of the other units that I have tried. And to kind of demonstrate how well that chiller works, the water flow and everything, we're gonna jump in then at the end of this review, so stay tuned. And you can kind of tell by my facial expression how much it sucks. But chiller performance is exceptional. Most of the chillers that I own, and I think at this point I have maybe 6 chillers here on my property, most of them are made in China with relatively inexpensive / cheap components, and that means you have to likely replace every once in a while the water pump or the vacuum pump or any of the components that can likely break when the water flow gets reduced because the filter starts clogging up, you didn't replace the filter quickly enough, etc. With this chiller, it's a Japanese built 1 horsepower commercial grade chiller. It's a beast that not only ensures incredible water flow, and that comes with a water pump that is way oversized for the unit. So you get exceptional water flow, and that means exceptional filtration performance. And also from a cooling performance, the chiller can cool the water to 36 degrees Fahrenheit. I mean, realistically, you'll see between 36 and 37, depending on it. Always, lets it warm up a little bit before the chiller kicks in, but exceptional performance. And if you think now, well, but I'm used to ice cold water, I'm used to sitting in a tub, with ice floating around me, and 36, 37 might not be cold enough. It is very much cold enough, and that is because of that incredible water flow. And this particular unit has not only just strong water flow from the get-go, but you can push a button and it goes into high flow mode. And that's like white water. That's a whitewater experience. There is no way you can maintain any sort of thermal barrier, meaning that the water just feels incredibly and uncomfortably cold. It's the worst, quote-unquote, experience that I've had in any cold plunge, simply because I never built a thermal barrier. If you sit in a box of ice, even if it's 33 degrees and you hold still, you build this thin thermal barrier that kind of insulates you a little bit, and it makes the water feel a little bit more pleasant. I mean, freezing water is cold as it is, but it makes it a little bit more pleasant. With this Blast, there is nothing pleasant about it. Your thermal barrier gets broken. There is no way to maintain that, and it just feels, it's the coldest coldest I've ever felt in any cold water. And that's thanks to the combination of a powerful chiller, the oversized pump, as well as that huge filter. You know, most of the plunges that I own have like a tiny, I mean, somewhat between, you know, this size and maybe this size, but a fairly small filter. We're gonna show you something in the B-roll so you can see that. This guy has a huge filter. That means more water flow, and you have more leeway in replacing the filter. So it lasts somewhere between 2 and 6 months, depending on, of course, you know, how much debris you get in, how often you plunge, etc. But I plunge several times a week, and the water is still sparkling clear. Yeah, you can see a little bit of water, a few bubbles up here, and that's simply because I added some hydrogen peroxide, which was absolutely not necessary, but I did anyway, and so that caused, you know, those extra bubbles. Not a big deal, but the water is crystal clear. I've had this water now for a couple of weeks, and it still looks like on the first day I added it to the tub. The other thing that I really like about the Blast is that it combines ozone with UV sanitation, meaning that it has a powerful ozone generator. In fact, every time you open the lid, you can smell the ozone a little bit, and that's a sign that the ozone generator is either incredibly strong or running more than the relatively small ozone generators in other plunges that I own. And so the water stays pathogen free because ozone kills bacteria and viruses and other pathogens on contact. The UV, in addition, also kills anything that flows through or past that UV lamp. So you get the double benefits of ozone and UV, and that keeps the water sparkling clean and, most importantly, sanitary. And again, that combined with the high flow rate with the big sediment filter, that water just stays clean for a very, very long time, and that reduces maintenance and the risk of something breaking because you didn't replace the filter early enough, which just happened to one of my other plunges. I let it run for a few weeks too long, and the water pump burned out because the water flow, it didn't suck enough water anymore. So that's really cool about that plunge. In addition to that, you know, it's built like a tank. I mean, you can jump on that. It weighs 600 pounds, as I mentioned. It's not very easy to move once it's where it is, but you know, you can jump on it, you can stand on it. Nothing is gonna break. It's stainless steel. Now, I know that ReGen Total Wellness told me that they are transitioning to an aluminum shell to make it a few hundred pounds lighter without sacrificing stability. But this model I have is the stainless steel model, and it's just built like a tank, with a huge chiller right on this side here. We actually unscrewed the lid so you can kind of see what's going on inside, but it's a massive Japanese built 1 horsepower commercial grade chiller. You can set the temperature, you know, obviously directly on the chiller as well as up here. You can just click on the set and then move it up or down. It's fairly straightforward. There's only one setting or two buttons, you know, to either increase or decrease the temperature. That's pretty much it. There is a hose built in if you want to drain it. That's pump assisted as well, so it's very easy to drain the tub if you ever want to. And from an ergonomics perspective, a couple of things I want to mention, because getting in and out of cold plunges can be a hazard. You know, you can slip. You have wet feet, obviously. If the inside of the tub is slippery, that could be a hazard. There is actually a non-slip flooring, so that makes it very easy to get in and out, even if you have maybe mobility issues. Yes, the tub is fairly deep, which is a good thing because you have plenty of space, even if you're a big dude, meaning, you know, either in this direction or in this direction, you have plenty of space in the tub. It has 40% more volume than most of the other plunges that I have, so it's huge. It's massive on the inside, which I really appreciate because I can submerge myself fully, even my head. It has an LED light inside. If that's what you want, you can turn it on with a button on this side. And this slant, it's slightly slanted, so it's, I don't want to say more comfortable, but it's a little bit more relaxing, I guess, if you want to just, you know, go in and lie back and give up basically and submerge yourself and you know, to the cold and just accept what's happening to you, that it's uncomfortable for a couple of minutes. But you know, that is it. Now the key feature, or one of the most impressive features, I think, is the flow rate. And the flow rate, without any special setting, just in regular mode, is incredibly strong. I mean, you can see how much the water is moving, but then if you push a button, it really gets crazy. You can push that button up here and it goes into high flow mode. And that is a white water experience. And that's what sets this unit apart from everything else, or from anything else that I've seen, because it moves the water so much that it just feels terrible at the end of the day. And I guess that's really what you want. Now, the good news is, if you're new to cold plunging and you've never done this before and you just want to ease it in, that's probably not the setting I would use, because it feels significantly more challenging than relatively still water. But nonetheless, if you're an experienced cold plunger, if you think like you've seen it all, you've done it all, you know, I've plunged in above the Arctic Circle, you know, I've done it as cold as it gets with ice floating around me. This is worse. This is more challenging, and that's why I really like this, because I can push myself to the next level. From a pricing perspective, this is obviously a premium unit, and the price kind of reflects it. Right now, as of this recording, the list price is about $8,600, or just shy of that. It's not inexpensive, but when you compare it to some of the other high quality, larger cold plunges that have the same kind of, setup, it's actually inexpensive. I mean, one plunger that I own that's just right over there is $12,000. A high-end Morosco Forge is over $10,000. So comparatively speaking, you get the most challenging cold plunge with incredible high filtration and chilling performance for a couple of $1,000s less than the competition. So I consider it a really good price for what you're getting. Yes, it's not a $100 inflatable, of course, but if you're serious with cold plunging, if you want to do this on a regular basis, if you want to have something that's just maintenance free that you plug in and you're ready to go and you don't need to worry about changing water all the time, adding ice, or replacing filters every 2 weeks, which is what I do with my other plungers, this is an excellent investment that will last you for a very long time. It's built in Arizona and built for Arizona, meaning that if it can sustain the Arizona heat, then it can work anywhere else in this country as well. I mean, we are here in Georgia, it gets fairly hot and humid, but nothing like in Arizona, and it's incredibly effective at maintaining water temperature, maintaining water quality, and the flow rate, most importantly. So you always get the same experience, the same challenging experience, no matter when you plunge and how long you've had the unit. We have a discount code as well that gives you $150 off. I'm going to link the code down below in the description. But yeah, that's pretty much it from all of the plungers that I own right now. And we have, if I just want to do a quick count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 plungers right now in our home spa, as crazy as it sounds. This is by far the most challenging one, the easiest to maintain, and I just love it. It's the one, for me, cold plunging has become a challenge again, which for a long time it has not, because I've gotten used to the cold temperatures. This one is incredibly challenging. I love it. Of course, if you're new to cold plunging, you can set the higher temperature. Don't enable high flow mode and you'll just have the regular quote-unquote experience. But if you really want to push it, this is the way to go. I love this unit. Check it out. Let me know what you think. Have you tried this unit? Have you tried something else? Are you considering it? Let me know in the comments, and I hope I'll see you in the next video.